The mysterious ban, 5 to 7 minutes. Hook. The Galactic Academy was quiet that morning, a soft hum of activity flowing through the large, sleek hallways. Alien students from various planets walked briskly between classrooms, their unique features and cultures a reflection of the diversity of the galaxy. Yet, despite the peaceful environment, an air of excitement and tension hung over the Academy today. Today, they would learn about the humans. The instructor, an elderly Xyrillian named Threx, stood at the front of the large lecture hall, his sharp eyes scanning the room. He was known for his calm demeanor, but today he had an unusual seriousness in his posture. The students, mostly young and curious, could feel the gravity of the situation. They had been studying different species for years, but today, the topic was different. Today, they would learn about humans. Humans, Threx began in his deep, gravelly voice, are perhaps the most misunderstood species in the galaxy. Their history is full of mystery, contradiction, and danger. You may have heard many things about them, but none of it tells the whole truth. Today, we explore why humans have been banned from participating in the Galactic War. The students exchanged puzzled glances. Some of them had heard vague stories about humans, how they were fierce and unpredictable. But none of them had ever been told that they were banned from a war that shaped the future of the galaxy. The idea was strange. How could a species be banned from something so important? What could they have done that was so terrible? One of the students, a young Sarnak named Vora, raised her hand. "Professor Threx," she asked, "why were they banned? I mean, I've heard about humans' wars before, but they couldn't have been that bad, right?" Threx's eyes softened slightly, a rare sign of emotion for the old Xyrillian. "That is the question, Vora, a question that has remained unanswered for many centuries. The truth, however, is far more complicated than you might think." With a flick of his wrist, Threx activated a hologram that shimmered to life in the center of the room. It showed a map of the galaxy, with planets and star systems glowing brightly. But one planet, a small blue and green orb, was highlighted in red. Earth. Humans, Threx continued, were once a growing species, full of potential and ambition. However, their history is tainted with acts of destruction and chaos. The Galactic Council could not ignore their tendency to use weapons of unimaginable power. It wasn't the war that humans fought in that led to their banishment. It was their power itself. The students sat in silence, each one trying to make sense of what they were hearing. Vora, ever the curious one, leaned forward. What kind of power? Why was it so dangerous? Threx paused for a moment, his eyes distant as if remembering something from long ago. "It is a power that no one fully understands," he said softly. "But it is one that resides deep within humans, hidden and dangerous. It is a power that, when unlocked, can shatter the very fabric of space and time." A chill swept through the room. The idea of a species possessing such power was unsettling. How could something so dangerous remain hidden? What could possibly be so destructive that the entire galaxy feared it? The Galactic Council, Threx continued, had no choice but to ban humanity from the war, fearing that if they were allowed to join, they would destroy entire star systems with the power they could barely control. Humans were kept out of the war, and their history was sealed away, hidden from the galaxy. Vora's mind raced. But if they were so dangerous, why hasn't the Council wiped them out completely? Why let them live? Threx turned to face the class, his expression serious. The Council debated that for many years, there was a faction that wanted to eliminate humans entirely, fearing what they might become. But in the end, the decision was made to leave Earth alone, isolated from the rest of the galaxy. A dangerous experiment, but an experiment nonetheless. The Council believed that perhaps, in time, humans could learn to control their power. But until then, they were to be kept from the galactic conflict. There was a long pause as the students absorbed the information. Some of them were still in disbelief. How could such a young species, by galactic standards, hold such terrifying power? And why had the council hidden the truth for so long? One of the students, a quiet but bright Thren named Kellen, spoke up. "Professor, if the humans were banned because of their power, why are we even studying them? Are we preparing for them to return?" Threx's gaze darkened. "That is the real question, Kellen. For years, the humans were left to themselves, isolated from the galactic community. But recently, there have been reports, strange signals from Earth, signs of human activity rising to unexpected levels. We don't know what they're planning, but I suspect the Galactic Council has already begun to take notice." The room fell silent as the weight of his words settled in. The idea that humans were not just a footnote in galactic history, but possibly a rising force, was a troubling thought. And if they had indeed been hiding their power all these years, what would happen if it was unleashed? "Your assignment," Threx said, his voice grave, "is to discover the truth behind these signals. Why are the humans stirring again? What is the true nature of the power that lies within them? And most importantly, what happens if it is awakened?" The students looked at each other, a sense of urgency building between them. They had only scratched the surface of the mystery. But they all knew one thing. The truth about humanity's ban from the Galactic War was just the beginning. And whatever they uncovered next, it would change the fate of the galaxy forever. The hidden files. The Galactic Academy was buzzing with energy. Students hurried from one lecture to the next. But today, something felt different. Whispers filled the corridors, and a sense of urgency lingered in the air. The assignment Professor Threx had given was unlike any other. It wasn't just an academic task. It was a mission, one that could alter the course of galactic history. Vora, Kellen, and the rest of the students gathered in the library's restricted section. The room was dimly lit, with rows upon rows of ancient archives containing information from every corner of the galaxy. But it wasn't just the books that were important today. It was the files, the ones marked with the symbol of the Galactic Council. Files that had been sealed away for centuries. "Do you think we can really find out the truth about humans?" Kellen asked, his voice barely a whisper as he looked at Vora. Vora's eyes gleamed with determination. "We have to. The Council wouldn't have kept them hidden if they weren't important. We need to know why humans are so dangerous. What if we're facing a new threat, and we don't even realize it?" Together, they approached the central terminal. Vora tapped in the security code Threx had provided, a code that could only be accessed by the highest-ranking members of the Academy. The screen flickered to life, revealing a list of files, each with a brief description. There were hundreds of them, covering everything from species behavior to ancient galactic wars. But one file stood out. It was marked with a red warning. Restricted, human history, classified. Vora didn't hesitate. She selected the file, and the terminal hummed with a low frequency. The holographic interface expanded, revealing a collection of records and documents. As they began to sift through the data, they discovered something shocking. Information that had been hidden for over 1,000 years. The first file revealed a history of humanity, a timeline that was both familiar and terrifying. At first, the humans seemed like any other young species, eager, ambitious, and capable of great things. But soon, their story took a dark turn. Their rapid technological advancements had led to conflicts, wars that stretched across their planet. The record spoke of weapons that could level cities and armies that destroyed entire nations in a matter of days. But what really caught the students' attention were the later records, the ones that spoke of humans' involvement in the Galactic War. The documents described how humanity had once participated in an intergalactic conflict, one that spanned countless star systems. However, as they dug deeper, they uncovered a chilling fact. Humans had not been fighting on equal terms. They had been using a weapon far beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. "This is impossible," Kellen muttered, his eyes wide as he read one of the documents. They had weapons capable of erasing entire planets from existence. Vora swallowed hard. The words on the screen seemed to blur in front of her eyes. planetary erasure devices, hyper-destructive technology, cosmic displacement bombs. The descriptions of these weapons were vague, but it was clear that humanity had harnessed an unimaginable power. And that was when the real shock came. The records showed that humanity had not been banned from the war due to their lack of military skill, but because their weapons had the potential to tear apart the fabric of the galaxy itself. They weren't just weapons of war. They were weapons of mass disruption. It was as if humans had unlocked a force so powerful, it could unravel the very laws of the universe. Why did the Council keep this from us? Vora asked, her voice shaking. If they knew all this, why didn't they tell anyone? Kellen stared at the screen, a sense of dread creeping over him. Because the Council is afraid of humans. They've always been afraid of them. And if we're seeing this, maybe they know something we don't. Before Vora could respond, a new file appeared on the screen, one that had not been there before. It was labeled simply, The Lost Signal. Curious, Vora clicked on it. The screen flickered, and a recording began. It was old, heavily damaged by time, but the audio was still clear enough to make out the voice. This is the last transmission from Earth's High Command. We are preparing for the final phase. Our power is rising. The Council will soon regret their decision. We have only just begun. The message ended abruptly, leaving the students in stunned silence. The transmission was old, too old to be from the recent past. It had been sent before humanity was even banned from the war. The words were chilling. The Council will soon regret their decision. Vora felt her heart pound in her chest. Was this the reason the Council had locked the humans away? Had they always known that one day humanity's power would rise again? Were the humans preparing for something far more dangerous than they had imagined? The students shared a look of disbelief. The pieces were starting to come together, but the truth was far darker than any of them had anticipated. It wasn't just that the humans had been banned from the war. It was that the Council had feared them for a reason. The human power that had once been lost to time was now stirring, and the galaxy might not be ready for what was about to come. There's more here, Vora said, her fingers hovering over the screen. We haven't even touched the surface. But I think the signal wasn't just a warning. It's a threat. Kellen clenched his fists. We need to find out what happened next. If the humans are waking up again, we need to know why. As the students continued their research, one thing became clear. The future of the galaxy was on the brink of something catastrophic, and the humans might be at the center of it all. The forgotten prophecy. Vora sat at the edge of the table, her mind racing. The documents they had uncovered were troubling, but the transmission had shaken her to her core. The truth about humanity's potential, its terrifying power, was far worse than she had imagined. She couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the brink of discovering something far bigger than a simple banishment from the galactic conflict. We have to go deeper, Vora said, her voice steady but urgent. Kellen nodded, his brow furrowed in concentration. The Council may have hidden everything they could, but there has to be more. The files, the transmissions, they only tell part of the story. If humans are planning something, we need to know exactly what it is. The two of them, along with the rest of the students, were now in the heart of the Galactic Academy's most secure vault, the ancient archives. Hidden beneath layers of security, it contained knowledge that had been sealed away for millennia. But even in this place, there was an ancient text that had never been fully translated. Until now, a dusty old tome lay before them, its pages yellowed and crumbling. The title was written in a language no living species could understand, but somehow Professor Threx had managed to decode parts of it. He had warned them that this was no ordinary book. It was a prophecy, one that had been overlooked for centuries. Vora had a feeling that it was no coincidence they had stumbled upon it now. This book speaks of a great awakening. Kellen read aloud, his voice echoing in the quiet room. The return of a species that would alter the very balance of the galaxy. Vora's heart skipped a beat. The humans. The prophecy continued, speaking of a time when the sleeping giants, Humans would rise once more, reclaim their lost power, and challenge the established order of the galaxy. It described their return as something inevitable, like a force of nature that could not be stopped. But there was something else, a warning. When the time comes, the humans will awaken their weapon and shatter the sky. They will bring destruction on a scale never before seen, and the galaxy will tremble beneath their feet. Vora looked at Kellen, the gravity of the words sinking in. The weapon, the one the Council feared. Could it be real? Are the humans really capable of this? Kellen swallowed hard. They've always had the potential, but if this prophecy is true, it means they never lost their power. They'd just been waiting for the right moment to strike. The more they read, the clearer it became. The prophecy spoke of a great upheaval, of a time when the galaxy's balance would be tested, and humanity would be at the center of it. It wasn't just a weapon, it was a force of nature. A power so immense that it could rip apart the very structure of space and time itself. The students looked at each other nervously. They had come to learn about the humans, but they were uncovering something much more dangerous. The Council had feared this exact moment, the return of the humans and their unchecked power. If the prophecy was true, they were not just facing a conflict, they were facing the possibility of total destruction. Kellen closed the book with a soft thud, his eyes troubled. If this weapon is real, if the humans have been hiding it all this time, what happens when they finally use it? Vora bit her lip. We don't know yet, but I'm starting to think that the signals from Earth weren't just a coincidence. They were calling us, calling the galaxy. Just then, the door to the vault creaked open, and Professor Threx entered, his expression grim. He had been watching them from afar, but now it was time for them to face the truth. You've seen it, haven't you? Threx's voice was low, almost a whisper. The prophecy. The students nodded, unsure of how to respond. Threx sighed, stepping into the room and looking at the ancient book in Vora's hands. You have to understand, what you've read is not just a legend. It is the truth. The humans have always been a species of contradictions. They are capable of unimaginable destruction, but they are also capable of great creation. The Council feared their power, and they sealed them away for a reason. Vora looked up at him. But why? Why not just destroy them, if they were so dangerous? Threx's eyes darkened. Because the humans are not like any other species in the galaxy. They are unique. Their power is something that cannot be easily erased. No one knows where it came from or how it works, but it is deep within them. The Council believed that by isolating Earth, they could prevent humanity from ever tapping into it again. But now, the signals, the prophecies, the warnings, it all points to the same thing. Kellen leaned forward. What does it mean, Professor? Why are the humans returning now? Threx's voice lowered to a near whisper. It means that the humans are waking up. Their power has been dormant for centuries, but it has always been there, waiting. The time has come for them to re-enter the galactic stage, and when they do, nothing will ever be the same. Vora shuddered. She had no idea what was coming, but one thing was certain. The galaxy was on the verge of a catastrophic event, and humans would play a central role in it. The peaceful world they had known was about to change forever. The awakening. The news spread quickly through the Galactic Academy. Whispers, rumors, and fears filled the air. The students who had uncovered the ancient prophecy were now the center of attention, but the weight of the truth was heavy on their shoulders. The future of the galaxy, possibly the entire universe, rested on the knowledge they had uncovered. Humanity's return was no longer just a myth or a legend. It was becoming an undeniable reality. Vora sat alone in her quarters, staring out the window at the stars. The silence of space felt eerie now, knowing that something was coming. Something that could shatter the peace of the galaxy. The transmission from Earth, the chilling words from the High Command, the message about humanity's power rising, replayed in her mind over and over. She couldn't escape the feeling that the storm was just beginning. As the stars flickered outside, A sudden notification flashed on her communicator. It was from Kellen. "Vora, we need to meet. It's urgent." She stood up immediately, her heart racing. Whatever Kellen had to say, it couldn't be good. They had already uncovered too much. What more could there be? The two of them met in the Academy's central meeting room. Kellen looked more serious than she had ever seen him, his face pale. He didn't wait for pleasantries. "They found the signal," Kellen said, his voice tight. "Earth, they're sending something. A fleet." Vora's stomach dropped. "A fleet? You mean they're coming?" Kellen nodded gravely. "It's not just a fleet. It's a force." The Galactic Council intercepted the transmission. They've been monitoring it for days. The signal is coming from Earth, but the troubling part is the pattern of the signal. It's not random. It's organized, almost as if it's a message calling for reinforcements. Vora could hardly breathe. So they're preparing for war. Kellen hesitated. No. Worse, they're preparing for something much bigger. Before Vora could ask what he meant, a holographic display flickered to life between them. The image showed a massive fleet, sleek and futuristic, heading toward the edge of the galaxy. But what caught their attention was not the size of the fleet, but its direction. "It's heading toward the galactic core," Kellen explained. "They're not just targeting us. They're targeting the heart of the galaxy, the most powerful systems, the Galactic Council itself." Vora couldn't believe it. But why? What do they want with the Council? The Council already shut them out of the war. Kellen's eyes darkened. The Council may have shut them out, but there's something else. The humans believe the galaxy owes them something, and now they're coming to claim it. Vora could barely comprehend what Kellen was saying. For centuries, humanity had been isolated. They had been sealed off from the galaxy, their history buried and hidden from the rest of the universe. And now, after all this time, they were coming back, and the whole galaxy would soon feel their wrath. "We need to warn the Council," Vora said, her voice filled with urgency. "We need to tell them what's coming. The fleet, the weapon, everything." Kellen nodded. The Council has already seen the fleet. They've activated their defenses, but they're not prepared for what's coming. Not for what humanity has become. We're talking about a species that has been left to grow, to evolve, for over 50,000 years. What if their power is beyond anything the Council can control? Vora turned to the hologram of the fleet. There was no mistaking it now. The humans weren't just returning. They were coming for something, and it was clear from their movements that they had a plan. They weren't afraid. They were confident. But what was the endgame? What did humanity want from the Galactic Council? Before Vora could ask more questions, an emergency communication came through on the terminal. It was from Professor Threx. "Vora, Kellen, I need you both to report to the main control room immediately." Threx's voice crackled through the speaker. "The Council is about to make a decision. A critical one. You need to be there." With no time to waste, Vora and Kellen rushed to the control room, where the rest of their classmates were already gathered. The room was tense, filled with the highest-ranking officials of the Galactic Academy and a few members of the Galactic Council. They were all watching the main display, which showed the incoming human fleet rapidly approaching the heart of the galaxy. "We've been monitoring the fleet's movements," one of the council members said gravely. "The humans are making their way toward the galactic core. They are preparing for something, but we don't know what." Threx looked at the students. "You've uncovered the prophecy. You know what this means." Vora felt her heart race. "You're saying the prophecy is true. That the humans are returning with a power so great, they'll destroy the galaxy." Threx nodded. "We cannot underestimate them. The humans are not just a species of war. They are a species of creation and destruction. They are capable of both, and that's why the Council feared them." The Council members exchanged worried looks. "The question is, what do we do now?" one of them asked. Vora took a deep breath. She knew what had to be done. "We need to contact Earth. We need to understand why they're coming. What do they want from us? Kellen added, we can't just sit here and wait for them to make their move. We need to find out the truth, and fast. Threx turned to the council. We will send an envoy. We must open communications with Earth, but it is a risk. The humans have been silent for so long. If they refuse to talk, if they don't listen, it could be the beginning of something catastrophic. As the room fell into tense silence, everyone understood the gravity of the situation. The humans were no longer an isolated species. They were coming, and they were not coming in peace. The fate of the galaxy was about to change. The first contact. The tension in the room was unbearable. Vora, Kellen, and the rest of the Galactic Academy's top students stood with their eyes glued to the holographic display. The image of humanity's fleet continued to grow larger, its sleek warships gliding through space with a deadly precision. But no one knew exactly what the humans planned to do once they arrived. The silence from Earth only added to the growing sense of dread. Professor Threx paced in front of the council, his face grim. This is a turning point for the galaxy, he said, his voice tense. We've never faced a species like this before. And the truth is, we don't know if the prophecy is a warning or a declaration of intent. The council members nodded in agreement. The mystery surrounding humanity's long silence was unsettling. It wasn't just the fleet. They had yet to hear anything from Earth. No messages, no demands, no requests for negotiations. The humans were simply coming, and everyone felt the weight of that. A high-ranking council member, General Valen, stood up and turned to the rest of the room. The question isn't just what they want, but what they're capable of. We know about their weapons, but we don't know how advanced they've become in the past 50,000 years. We need to be ready for anything. Vora could feel the weight of everyone's gaze turn to her and Kellen. They had been the ones to uncover the truth about humanity's power. They had seen the prophecy, the signals, the weapon, and now they were the ones who might hold the key to understanding why the humans were returning. But the truth was, they didn't know all the answers. No one did. We need to make contact, Kellen said, his voice determined. The humans won't wait forever. If we don't reach out to them, things could escalate far beyond what we're prepared for. Vora looked at him, her mind racing. But what if they don't want peace? What if they're coming for revenge? For everything the council did to them all those years ago. The thought sent a chill down her spine. The more she thought about it, the more she realized that humanity's return wasn't just about power or war. It was about something deeper. The humans had been isolated, cut off from the galaxy, and now they were back. But why? What had happened on Earth that had allowed them to grow so powerful and yet remain hidden for millennia? A sudden beep interrupted the silence. A transmission had been received from the fleet. The screen flickered to life, and a voice filled the room. It wasn't a greeting. It wasn't a message of peace. It was cold, direct, and threatening. This is Commander Lyora of the Terran Fleet. We demand immediate recognition of Earth's sovereignty over this galaxy. All systems under the Galactic Council's control are now considered to be part of Earth's domain. Any resistance will be met with the full force of our power. The transmission ended abruptly, leaving everyone in the room stunned. The council members exchanged horrified glances. The arrogance, the confidence, and the sheer audacity of the humans' words were overwhelming. They had not come to negotiate. They had come to conquer. General Valen slammed his fist against the console. This is worse than we imagined. They're not interested in diplomacy. They're demanding control. We can't let them do this. Professor Threx turned to the students, his expression unreadable. This is where your knowledge could change everything. You understand the prophecy, the weapons, and the humans better than anyone else in the galaxy. It's time to act. Vora felt a knot tighten in her chest. The humans had come back with a clear purpose, to reclaim what they believed was rightfully theirs. The galaxy was on the verge of a war that no one had seen coming, and it was clear that Earth's power was not something to be underestimated. But there was still something that didn't sit right with her. The transmission had been bold, but it lacked the fear she had expected. Humanity was making its return as if it had been planning this for centuries, and Vora couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to their story than anyone had realized. "We need to understand their motives," Vora said, looking at Kellen. "We need to find out why they're demanding this. What are they trying to achieve? Are they just after power, or is there something deeper behind this?" Kellen nodded. "It's not just about a fleet or a weapon. It's about their history, their purpose. The Council fears them because they don't understand them, and we're no different." The room fell silent as everyone absorbed the weight of Vora's words. The humans were not just returning for revenge. They were returning to reclaim their place in the galaxy. But what would that mean for the rest of the species in the galaxy? What would it mean for the Galactic Council? Vora turned to Professor Threx. "We need to send a message to Earth. If they truly believe in their right to rule, then they will listen to us. But we must be careful. The humans might not just be interested in taking control. They might be testing us, seeing how far we'll go to resist." Threx looked at the students, a rare look of admiration in his eyes. "You're right. The humans will expect a response, and it must be measured. We must show them that we are not afraid, but we must also be cautious. We cannot risk igniting a war until we understand their full intentions." The tension in the room grew as the Council deliberated on the next steps. Time was running out. The fleet was drawing closer, and soon it would be within the reach of the Galactic Core. The Council had to decide whether to continue their diplomatic efforts, to fight back, or to risk everything on one final attempt at peace. As the meeting continued, Vora felt her mind racing. The answers were out there, on Earth. But how would they get to the truth before everything spiraled out of control? The race to Earth. The Galactic Council's chambers were filled with nervous energy. Everyone, from the highest-ranking officials to the young students from the Academy, felt the urgency of the situation. The humans had made their intentions clear. Earth's fleet was drawing closer to the Galactic Core, and the Council had no choice but to prepare for whatever might come next. But the most pressing question was still unanswered. What did the humans truly want? And more importantly, why had they waited so long to return? Professor Threx, now fully aware of the gravity of the situation, turned to Vora and Kellen. "We've gathered the best minds in the galaxy," he said. "But it's clear that only you two understand the prophecy fully. You know what humanity is capable of. And most importantly, you understand the desperation behind their return. It's time we moved past diplomacy. We need to find a way to speak directly with Earth." Vora nodded, though a feeling of dread gripped her. She knew what it meant. The Council was desperate. There was no room for mistakes now. If Earth was truly returning to claim its place in the galaxy, then the fragile peace that had been built over millennia would be shattered, and the balance of power would tip in humanity's favor. "I agree," Kellen replied. "We need to reach Earth before the Council makes any hasty decisions. A war between the humans and the Galactic Council would destroy everything. But we also need to understand their intentions. If we don't, if we're wrong about them, it could be too late." Vora's mind raced. Humanity had been isolated for 50,000 years, left to evolve, to change in ways that no one could have predicted. What could they have become in that time? And what did they truly want from the rest of the galaxy? The ancient prophecy hinted at something far beyond a simple battle for control. It spoke of power, destruction, and a force that even the Galactic Council could not fully comprehend. Professor Threx's voice broke her from her thoughts. "I'm authorizing a mission. You two will go to Earth. You will attempt to communicate with their leaders. The Council will send you, not as diplomats, but as emissaries. Your job is to find the truth. What is it that they're really after?" Vora and Kellen exchanged a glance. The stakes had never been higher. "We'll go," Vora said firmly. "But we need resources. We need access to the best communication technology and a fast ship. We can't waste time. Every minute counts." "Done," Threx replied. "We'll send you in a stealth vessel something that will allow you to slip through unnoticed. But you must act quickly. We can't risk the humans thinking we're stalling. They will make their move soon, and when they do, the galaxy may never be the same. Within hours, Vora and Kellen were aboard the sleek, stealthy vessel, a state-of-the-art craft designed to slip under the radar of even the most sophisticated detection systems. The two students were ready for whatever lay ahead, though neither of them could shake the feeling that this journey would change everything. As the ship drifted away from the Galactic Academy, heading toward the outer reaches of the galaxy, Vora looked out the window at the stars. The vastness of space seemed infinite, yet it felt smaller than ever before. The questions about humanity's intentions weighed heavily on her. Were they coming to reclaim their lost glory? Or was there something more, something far darker, driving them? Kellen's voice broke the silence. Vora, you're thinking too much. We'll find the answers once we get there. We just have to focus on getting there alive. She turned to face him, offering a small smile. I wish it were that simple, but we're not just walking into Earth. We're stepping into a mystery that has lasted for thousands of years. And if we don't get it right, everything we've known could fall apart. Kellen nodded. We'll figure it out. We have to. The two students settled into their seats as the ship's engines hummed softly. The journey to Earth was long, and the unknown stretched out before them. Neither of them knew exactly what they would find when they arrived. But one thing was certain. Earth was preparing for something, and they were the galaxy's only hope of understanding what that was. As they approached the outer rim of Earth's system, the tension between them grew. The message they had received was clear. Earth was preparing for a confrontation. But how would they approach the humans? Would they be met with hostility? Or would they find a humanity that had grown wiser in its isolation? When the planet Earth finally appeared before them, its familiar blue and green surface seemed almost surreal. For so long, Earth had been nothing more than a legend, a planet that had once been the birthplace of humanity, now cut off from the rest of the galaxy. But now it was all too real. And the mystery of why Earth had been banned from the Galactic War began to loom large in their minds. The stealth ship entered Earth's orbit, and a tense silence fell over the crew. The reality of the mission had settled in. They were here not to fight, but to understand. They were here to uncover the truth of why the humans had returned after so many years of silence. They were here to find out what it was that the Galactic Council had feared for so long. Let's make contact, Vora said, her voice steady, though the weight of the moment hung heavily in the air. Kellen nodded. We've come this far. Now we'll see what the humans really want. As the ship descended toward Earth's surface, the unknown stretched out before them like an ominous shadow. Would they find peace, or a battle for the future of the galaxy? The truth unveiled. The stealth ship descended into Earth's atmosphere with a low hum, cloaked from the detection systems of both the planet's defenses and the vast galactic fleet looming in the distance. Vora and Kellen sat silently, their gazes fixed on the planet that had once been home to humanity, now a mystery after millennia of isolation. The final leg of their journey had arrived, and the weight of the moment was almost unbearable. They were about to come face to face with the very species that had been banned from the Galactic War, a ban that had been shrouded in secrecy, a ban that they were now determined to uncover. Kellen broke the silence. We'll need to tread carefully. Earth may look like it's still the same, but it's been thousands of years. Who knows what changes they've gone through, what they've become? Vora nodded, but her mind raced with unanswered questions. What had happened to Earth all those years ago? Why had the humans been isolated from the rest of the galaxy? And why now, after so long, were they returning with such power and intent? The ship's controls flickered, signaling that they had entered Earth's atmosphere. They were approaching the surface at an alarming speed, but Vora had no doubt in her mind that Earth had been expecting them. A sudden transmission flickered across the ship's communication screen, its frequency unlike anything they had encountered before. This is Commander Leora of the Terran Fleet. We know you are coming. You may land, But know this, no one enters Earth without our consent. You are guests in our domain, and you will follow our rules." The cold authority in Leora's voice sent a shiver down Vora's spine. These were not the words of a species seeking reconciliation. The humans were not interested in answers. They were interested in control. "We're almost there," Kellen said, his voice steady despite the tension in the air. "Once we land, we need to find out everything we can, and we need to do it fast." The ship's hull shuddered slightly as they touched down on Earth's surface. The area surrounding them was desolate, an empty expanse of land that looked as if it had been untouched for centuries. The planet's once vibrant cities seemed eerily silent, as though Earth itself had been waiting for this moment. The hatch opened, and a gust of cool air rushed in, carrying with it the scent of Earth's soil, fresh, yet somehow different. It was a reminder that they were standing on a planet that had once been home to billions of humans, but now lay in the hands of an entirely new order. Vora stepped out of the ship, her boots crunching softly on the earth beneath her feet. Kellen followed closely behind. They were met by a group of humans, dressed in black, their faces expressionless. The soldiers' eyes, however, held a coldness that was unmistakable. This was not the same humanity that had once been part of the Galactic Council. This was something else entirely. "Follow us," one of the soldiers ordered, his voice commanding. "The Council of Earth is waiting for you." The students exchanged wary glances but complied, walking in silence as they were led deeper into the vast, abandoned landscape. As they moved, Vora couldn't help but wonder about the world they were stepping into. What had happened to the Earth that had been left behind by the Galactic Council? What had turned these humans from the innocent species of old into a power that was now dictating terms to the rest of the galaxy?